This is a Pint-Size Media podcast production.
Malele, thank you so much for coming
Malele.
in. Malele, sorry,
There we go.
you've got to get it right. It's like my surname. I get Gerika, and I can't even pronounce it myself, so
I was actually about to say, how do you pronounce it correctly? Sorry, I was about to say, how do you pronounce it
it's
correctly?
Gerika.
Gerika.
You see, you say it even better than I do.
Gerika, okay.
Malele.
There we go.
So thank you so much for coming in all the way and joining me. I have been
Thank
watching.
you for the invite.
It's a pleasure. I've been watching what you've been up to, because I know that you started your own business when we met during the Power of Mum conference. You started a little bit before, I think.
Yeah.
And then COVID and all of that. And I've been watching, you've been in Africa and doing what looks like amazing
So many
things.
yeah.
So I wanted to start off with a little bit of context, talking about your business. You started after being with agencies and go.
So that is such a wild question. And you're literally tossing me into the Amazon right here. And I think the listeners will be tossed into the Amazon. So I'm going to try and give a very summarized version of it, but I am a storyteller. So when I say a summarized version, I mean I'm taking the scenic route of a summary, right? But no. So yes, I was in corporate, left corporate, went into agency space, left the agency space and went into my own thing with some business partners there, and we ran that thing, and that was really amazing. And I think when we actually engaged and met, I was sort of in between. I was
Okay.
You know how people talk about in between jobs?
Yes.
I was in between entrepreneurship projects. I don't think anybody talks about that really, where you're like, will I not?
Yeah.
Can I not? Right? You never really hear about those stories where it's I actually could have gone into a full-time thing or just did that other thing. So truthfully speaking, when we met, I was will I not? But I was but I had a project and a business we were working on with some business partners, and it was sort of a space where I was well, one thing or the other, right? And going back into corporate was still an option.
Oh, wow.
And then I just fully decided to commit to building something that I would feel was my own.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that in a way that it sounds like there's nothing wrong with being in corporate or having a day job or having a job, if I can put it that way. But for me, I just felt if there was ever a time that I could commit to this and see where it takes me, it was that time.
Okay. And you have so much to offer. So I think that going on your own and doing it for yourself would have been the only option.
Yeah. I mean, I was I have a lot to offer and I had a lot to learn as well, but I had enough to offer to give to the game, to give to the gig. If we're talking about the gig, to give to the gig, that it was well, we need this person in the team. Yeah. So I ran with that, and
so what was that?
Found so that was a marketing and events agency, right? Okay. So well, let me put it this way. I'm a big believer in playing the chess game. So to any of the listeners who listen to this podcast, I will say to you that if you're sitting at home and then you're thinking, or if you're sitting in the office right now, you're listening, how do I do this thing? How do I jump? The first thing I'll say to you is understand that this is a big-ass chess game. You have to play the pieces and see the game ahead. See the game in terms of 10 steps ahead of what the steps you're playing right now.
Okay.
So when I left corporate, my first thing was to I'm going to go into a smaller company, a smaller sort of agency, and understand what it feels like to be on the client-facing side, right? Then after that, I then started my own thingy, and not started, but like I then partnered up with some people, and we had our own company. And that was the beginning of me being a full-time entrepreneur. And then from there, we worked, and we had our own. We were able to get our own clients. We had a lot of wins, and a lot of losses. But we were able to
the nature
keep the
of
company.
the game.
Thank you. We were able to keep the company going, and everything. So that's how it actually started. If you ask me how it started, that's actually how it started.
And the challenges that you encountered as you started, because that's also, you talk about being in between shala shanta.
Yeah.
Once you decide to commit, you're presented with a whole lot of challenges. And I think some of those challenges you don't even know that you're going to come across. And some of them are presented to you because of the government and all the stuff you have to do to register your company.
True. What I will say is that, to be honest with you, the easiest part about being an entrepreneur in South Africa, at least, is registering your company.
Yeah.
It costs you a couple $100, but if you are registering a company, it's like the easiest part. You have R100, you register your company, it goes through, you have the paperwork, you sign it back, and they say to you have a company. And then you have your title. I'm a CEO of what? Is what people say, I'm a CEO and I'm a co-founder of what?
Exactly.
Yes, you have a name, and yes, you have the title, and yes, you have this thing that's registered with the CIPC. But what is the of what? What are you what is the value you're bringing to people? It's easy to have a title. But what does that title deliver is really where a lot of us stumble and stutter. Myself included, by the way. I'm not talking from a an esoteric sort of perspective. Myself included. I constantly ask myself that question.
Yeah.
That it's easy to have that title, but what does it mean?
Yeah. Well, because we have to otherwise we don't grow. If you don't keep asking yourself those questions, you don't grow, you don't learn. So, challenges?
Okay, yes, I didn't. Challenges. Wow. How much time do we have? so I'll mention some of the main ones, and some of them will be obvious, but some of them will not be. One of the challenges is building a team. And understanding what it means to build a team. And I'm learning that right now, how to build a team and what it means and who do you need and who do you, and what does everyone do? When we think about building a team and being surrounded by people who are going to move the vision forward, it becomes very sort of visionary and esoteric in a way. It's this utopia that we're building. But on a day-to-day thing, what are these people doing? And what are you doing? You know what I mean? So doing that is one of the things that I'm finding not a challenge per se, but is definitely something that has come up in my journey. Right, me and the team, we're, or let me say, me and my business partners, we're really just trying to build a team and understanding what it means to build a team. And also, we live in a world. Another challenge about that is that it's different to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, where there wasn't this much information about culture, team building, this wrong, that right, this wrong, that right, this wrong, that there wasn't this much information where everybody's coming into the room with so I read this book and I watched this video and you know what I mean? And we all agree that culture is important, team building is important, and you have to, but now 10 years ago, you had 2 or 3 people in the room who were like bringing this ideology into the room. Now you have everybody bringing this ideology, and someone's like quoting Simon Sinek. And the guy is quoting, Eric Thomas. And another person is quoting Gary Vee. Somebody else is like quoting Bill Gates. This guy's quoting Warren Buffett. We're all reading the books and watching the videos, and now we're bringing it into the room, and we have to now build a team culture and build.
And you have to find
a
the pieces.
happy middle. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
you see, in the old days, you used to go into a library and sit with all the
Thank
books,
you.
and it was easier.
So in old days, it used to be like 1 or 2 people had those things, and it was like, oh, this is so profound. It's such a profound way, and everybody in the room like, wow. Okay, fine, let's try that. Or they would be like, no, I don't like that. But like, it would be the most profound ideology in the room.
Yes.
Today, to build a team culture is like everybody's got everything, and so it gets harder. And that's a challenge I've learned. That one thing I'll say to anyone who's listening is that when you go into business, you really need to be very clear about the vision, number one, and about what the culture it is that you're building. Because if you're not clear about that, you're going to get into like the forest of it all.
Yeah. Do you think that the culture of your company informs the work that you do? So obviously everybody's got skills and they're able to bring their skill to the party, but the culture of the business, will it allow you to take on any client, or does it inform the kind of clients you won't work with, the kind of clients that you absolutely have to have in your portfolio?
100%. And that's why culture is so important. And when we're talking about challenges, that's one thing I've learned the hard way, that we need to really make sure that we're building the right culture in order to have the right business success. So I would say yes. 100%. It informs that, because it actually does form the bedrock of everything that you're building.
So learning, now you've been talking about the fact that you've learned building a team and the culture and all of that kind of stuff. But now, what else have you learned during the time? So from starting the business through COVID, working in different parts of Africa, what do you see as the lessons that you've learned?
That's a very good question, and I get that question a lot. The first thing one is to really understand, or rather not understand, but like to look at the bigger picture, all right, and always be aware of the bigger picture. The second thing is to never underestimate risks that you don't see in the business, right? And I had a business that was, so one of the businesses I had before COVID was like 99% face-to-face events and whatnot, right? Like most of us, right? It was 99% face-to-face events, and it was running very smoothly. COVID happened, and that business then, like, overnight, I always say this, that overnight our jobs became illegal. Right? That overnight, literally, it was like you could get arrested for just like
trying to make a living.
Yes, like just gathering people and making a job and making a living.
Yeah,
and I don't know, I don't think we've talked enough about the adjacencies of that entire industry. I don't think we've talked enough about that, because, and I know that you asked a specific question, but I'm just going to digress for a second here. That when we were trying to pivot that business, right, a lot of my mates were like, you should guys, y'all be fine. You'll like just like turn the business around and everything. And I was like, friend, I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't work that way, right? And I think a lot of what people missed, and not to their detriment, like if you're not involved in something, you don't see what goes into it, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I said to my friend, like, okay, think of it this way: when you go into an event and you walk into it, the hostess is there. They host you, they take your name, or they welcome you in. That job is gone.
Yep.
The people who you go to the bar and you order, those jobs are gone. The bar service, the entire, and most events are actually made through that,
And that's
that is gone.
That's only what you can see.
Yeah, and that's only I'm saying that's only one see. Then go back to like
Exactly.
all the people who did the back end wing, who created the platforms, who did the marketing, who did the the quoting of the speakers and the
logistics.
like all of that is gone. So I said to you, do you understand how many jobs events actually like live events creates and how many jobs were lost? Like when I said that to them, they're like, I never thought of it that way.
No. And the thing is that particular industry is still working very, very hard to get it back.
To get it, yes. And this is why I said that, I said that to someone that the economy is such a large thing. Ne? Such a complex, there's so many dots connected that you can't just switch it off and then switch it on and expect it to work the same way.
No.
It doesn't. You can't just like, I'm just going to switch it off quickly and then like everybody go dark for like 10 minutes or like, 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll switch it back on and then it'll work the same exact way it worked before I switched it off.
Yeah.
That's not, and I want to be clear, I'm not blaming anyone or anything. I'm just saying that it's just the unfortunate reality that we have to deal with. Like the economy is too large of a thing. You can't switch it off and then switch it back on like the light switches we have here in the studio today, right? And so that's the reality of and I think I know I digressed there, but I think it was an important thing to say because I don't think people think about or people understand what the events industry went through. And the entire, like, I'm not even just talking about parties and whatnot and clubs. I'm talking about exhibitions and just like conferences, this entire ecosystem there, right? We haven't spoken enough about that. And I think, and you would know this more than I would, but you would know that, and I always say to people that, remember that this industry that we're in was the first to be switched off.
Yes, and for the
and
longest.
the last to be switched back on. Nobody wants to talk about that portion of it because it was the first one to be switched off when it was like, no, we're going to have, before it was like an entire
2
lockdown,
weeks?
we're just going to have like half of the people. Like, remember when there was a restriction on like how many people you could have in a room, right?
Yeah.
And that was like in February or something like that. Before there was an actual lockdown, it was like, we're only going to have X amount of people in the room. That changed everything for like, what do you like, dude? A room like this could take like what? Let's say it can take 10 people. Now you're saying a room like this can only take 5 people, but I must still pay the 10 people amount for it.
Exactly.
It changes everything.
So now, in your journey, what is the best piece of advice you've been given?
Oof. So you asked me from challenges, and now you're asking me the best piece of advice. All right. So the best piece of advice I've been given is, when you like build something, find a way to sell it. When somebody buys what you're selling, right? So if somebody's going to spend their hard-earned money on what you are selling or providing, right, whether it's an actual product or a service, then that's when you know you have a business. Until then, you don't have a business. Until then, all you have is an idea. When somebody's like willing to actually be like, I'm going to pay for this thing.
Yes.
Then you have a business. Then what you then should do is then ask them why and how, and then try and replicate that. Replicate that experience.
Yeah.
But until then, all you have is an idea. That's the best piece of, one of the best pieces of advice I've received. What's another one? I think another one, it's not a piece of business advice that I didn't receive it in any business context, but I received it on a human context, just as a human, is to listen to understand, not to respond.
Yes.
Listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. Because when you listen to understand, you are listening to the person who's saying what they have to say.
Yeah, and you're showing respect.
Yeah. Otherwise when you listen to to respond, you're not actually hearing this person. You're just listening until they shut up, so you can
So
say what.
true.
So you can say what you want to say.
Exactly.
So, and I always say this. And in one of my other personalities, I'm a youth mentor.
Okay.
So I'll say this to my youth mentees that like when you are listening to respond, what you're actually doing is like you're just like letting them speak, but what you really are thinking is like, when they shut up, this is what I have to say. And I always say to them, because they're young people, right? And but everybody has experienced this, old, young, whatever. When you feel like, and we've all said these words to somebody at some point, like, you're not here. Are you listening to me? Dude, but are you listening to me? Everything that I've just said right now, did you hear what you're not listening to me. All of us have
all
said,
had that.
we've all had
So
that experience.
true.
We're like, I don't think you're listening to me. Like, you're not like, so I would honestly say that, and it becomes very important as you're moving along, right, in your business, and you're hiring people, or you're letting go of people, or you yourself are trying to move to the next level in your own leadership journey as a business owner. The ability to listen to understand and not to listen to respond becomes very important. And I'm not preaching from some sort of higher power. I'm learning this myself. Right?
But it applies to personal relationships, and it
Yes.
applies to client relationships.
Anything.
So many people I've seen that are in service-orientated businesses, like marketing, like social media, don't listen to their clients. They go in with a preconceived idea of what they're going to be doing with their client, instead of listening
Yes.
and hearing what their client actually wants.
And sometimes it might be to your benefit to be like, well, this person, I don't think this is and I think a lot of us struggle with like the ideology of like, maybe this is not the type of person we should be working with.
Exactly, but that
And
goes back to your
That's
culture.
what I'm saying. Yeah, right. So that then comes back to that vision and the culture and the
Of the
ideology
team,
of the team and everything, I think you touched on a very important point here, that like that culture and the vision. If there's no sort of like alignment on that culture and the vision and everything like that, then all of the stuff becomes a mess.
It does.
Right? You need alignment on the culture and on the vision, very importantly, because then it clears up all of the fog and the noise of it all, right? So I would say that's like that was one of the most important learns, not learns, but like the most important lessons I ever learned.
I want to pivot.
All right. Oh, you got pivot. Oh
So
Lord, we're using buzzwords now. We're using buzzwords.
We were talking
now.
earlier. Anyone listening won't know that we had a long conversation about pivoting before we started.
Yeah.
I would love, if you're open, to talk about your poetry and your storytelling. What brought you? When did you start writing poetry and telling stories? And is that who you are?
Wow, that is such an interesting question. So, okay, fine. You want to talk about my poetry? Before I go into that, I'll just quickly say to the listeners that I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I've got a marketing and events company, and I've got a tech startup that works in e-commerce. And I'm also a youth mentor.
Yes.
Right? So when I'm not doing all of that stuff, I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day. Unless you're eating, by 1, then there's 25 hours in a day. But for the rest of us normal humans, there are only 24 hours in a day. And we have to sleep as well. When I'm not doing all that stuff, I'm a poet and a spoken word artist, right? So when did that start? I'm actually, at heart, I'm a creative. I love to create. I love to write lyrics and music and scripts and that kind of stuff. right? So to answer the first part of your question, in a different world, I would actually be a playwright, a script writer. I'd be an actress and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? In a different world, but my life did not take that direction, right? Like many of our lives, I'm sure and all the people who are listening right now, are like, I would have also loved to do that thing and this thing and this thing, right? So we can all relate. But I started writing poetry over a decade ago. I stumbled and fell into poetry because I was writing music. I was writing lyrics when I was like in high school. So I would like write lyrics to like beats and whatnot. Then I went into varsity, and varsity got really busy. Anybody who's been through university knows that like this jump is big and you have all this expectation and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't like produce any more beats and do that kind of element, but I kept writing stuff and listening to music and other people's beats and writing music to that, or let me say lyrics to that. One of my friends comes into my dorm room and whatnot, and I'm like writing some stuff, and then she reads some stuff, she hears some stuff, and she's like, dude, this is like poetry. And at the time, I didn't actually, like, I was just writing stuff to music that I was listening to and beats I was listening to. Excuse me, but like, I didn't think of it that way.
Okay.
So she was like, dude, this is like so poetic, like it's so amazing. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Sometimes we need someone to point it out.
Thank you. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's really cool for you to say, but yeah, sure, whatever. And then she then suggests, not only to me, but like to, so then there was like an event happening at one of our, like one of the university events that was happening, and then she was like, you should do your poetry. And I was like, whatever. She then went to the people like, that girl should do the poetry. She should do something like that. Then they came to me and I came to, like, then it just merged and then I wrote a poem for this particular event.
Yeah.
That they were having. It was a Women's Day event.
Okay.
And that was the first day.
And you wrote specifically
I
for
wrote
that?
specifically. I won't ever forget the name of that poem. It's called The Presence of Independence. And it was a short piece, but it was impactful, right? So they were like, wow. It was, the first moment was like, I could do poetry. And then from that day onwards, I just went into it. I could not like stop understanding poetry and understand it. Like I love languages, so I understood similes, metaphors, assonance, alliterations, similes, onomatopoeia, all that stuff. I knew all that stuff, but I wasn't like into poetry. That was the first time I could see that. Wait, the things I'm writing are poetic. I was like, that was the first like, what I'm writing is poetic. And it took someone to show me that, dude, this is poetic. It's poetry. Since that day, I've never looked back. I've been doing poetry for over a decade now. My album has over 1 million streams. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Tell us where to find it.
So, my album is called My Country Needs Me.
Okay.
You can find it anywhere online. Literally. So, if you're on Spotify, just say My Country Needs Me, Mo Malele, you'll find it. If you're on Apple Music, if you're on iTunes, if you are on Amazon, if you are on Deezer or Tidal, Netstar, if you literally,
wherever you get your podcast,
your audio, literally you can find it. Even if you're on social media, I have people doing their their social media stories to my poetry. Like I've seen people doing it on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, like literally there are some places where like I've got like massive TikTok viewership.
Okay, I'm going to go and stalk you more.
Yeah, so literally just like to answer that question, literally anywhere that is digital, you can YouTube. I forgot to mention YouTube. You'll find it.
Okay. What inspires you to your content? What inspires your poetry, the words that you write?
Everybody and everything.
And then what inspires you?
everybody
You
and
never
everything.
think.
No.
Is there a specific person that you look at?
I mean, I know I said a lot of nothing in that answer, but what I mean is that one of the best and worst qualities about me is that I feel things acutely, right? And it's something I realized at a very young age. So I feel things acutely. So I can feel someone's pain like it's my pain. So I can feel your story like it is my story. So that's one thing that inspires me. Another thing that inspires me is listening to people's stories and understanding where they're coming from, which is why I think we paint things in such a one color so easily and so quickly without understanding what goes underneath the colors.
The nuances.
Yeah, those nuances, yeah. So that inspires me, just understanding people's stories and hearing what they have to say and understanding their perspective and their background. And, is that really? So is that what the color purple means to you? Because my dad is... when you hear people's stories, you understand certain things about them that are like, I would never have thought that. So I'm inspired by that. Obviously, my content... then the content that I write and share about feeds into that, right? So I'm very much so, if you look at any of my writings or any of my content, you'll hear there's a lot of there's love, there's heartbreak and depression and controversy and politics and economics and through that, right? Because I'm also I'm a finance and accounting major, by the way, right? So I have a finance and accounting background.
How did you fall into marketing?
I have a finance and accounting, degree, and then I went into marketing, and then I went into events, and then I went to so all of that is the journey that I've traveled. Yeah. So I understand all of that stuff. So all of that inspires me because I believe that life it's incredibly complex, and nuanced.
Yeah.
Very it's layered rather. Let me say not complex. Let me say it's layered. We're all layered beings, actually.
And different people at different times.
That's what I'm saying. We're layered and complex beings. So I can play this role when I'm in this role. I can play that role when I'm for example, if you look at one human being, right, regardless of their gender, and you just look at them standing, one random human being you see standing in the distance, they could be playing a number of different roles, right? Mother, father, daughter, son, sister, brother, confidant, friend, acquaintance, father. Supporter of something, a fan of something, a believer of this team, whatnot. Literally, and I haven't even met you. You could be playing 10 different roles, and I haven't even met you. I'm just looking at you at a distance. I haven't met you. Then you go closer to the human and you meet the human and then you get to know what roles they're actually playing and how deep they believe in those roles. You know what I mean? I've met people, I'll give you a very random example right now. I've had people who have taken the crest of a football team. Ne? They took that crest and then they built a family crest around that, and they have tattooed that crest on themselves. And I'm like, wow! So then when you go to that particular family, you understand why the day that this team is playing, that every day that team is playing is literally just the holy, nothing else happens when that team, because then that guy built that thing, he had kids and whatnot, he procreated and whatnot. There's a whole culture around that
simple thing he created.
Yes. So you understand why when you go there, that thing that you were saying, when they lose, it hurts. When they win, it's all right, they've won. You understand the culture that he took from that thing and he brought it. You also understand why loyalty is important to this family.
Yeah.
Why, when we feel betrayed, we feel betrayed. And this is why we feel you understand why things cut so deep for them. I mean, I'm making a very silly example, right?
But it makes it real.
When
you
when you
understand
meet people on that level and you get closer to them, like I said in the beginning, I said that when you look at a person in a distance, they can be filling 10 different roles. When you get closer to them, you then understand the 2 or 3 or 5 different roles they're filling and what really is important to them. When you ask me what is important to me, or what matters to me, or rather, let me say, when you ask me what inspires me is when I get closer to those stories. Actually, when I'm like, now I understand actually why you keep your hair that way. I understand why this is your favorite color. I understand why you speak the way you speak and the language you use. And I get it.
So important part of who you are that informs both your business, your personal and your poetry is going back to the listening.
100%. This is actually funny because my business partner said this to me just literally yesterday, actually, like just the other day. Like literally yesterday from this recording, whenever you listen to this, but like literally yesterday from this recording, he was like, I am learning the art of listening just because of you.
Yeah.
Because you really listen. And I was like, I was like, wow. Like, but that's, I was like, oh, wow. I really was surprised by that comment because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
But, yes, the art of listening. I think it's an underrated thing, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah. I don't think I am the inventor of it.
No.
Certainly not. So I'm not trying to
No, but I think
speak
it's a
in
skill.
some sort of like, space of authority on it. But I always like to think at least that I'm listening to people. I like to listen to understand versus listening to respond. Yeah.
When the tough comes along.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good Lord, no.
My first instinct is to get going in the opposite direction. What is yours?
When the tough comes along, just stand still, actually. I'm a big believer that chaos creates opportunity. So stand still and listen. Stand still and just understand, look around. There's actually a poem I wrote about this, and the first line is, chaos creates opportunity for those who can see with impunity. And the idea around that entire poem is literally to be like, stand still, be able to see past the fog and hear past the noise. So my response when I see chaos is to just stand still. It's not to run or to act or whatnot. It's to stand still and be like, don't make a move. Don't even breathe very slowly. Like almost like when you are encountered with a wild animal. The way that, the game rangers would advise you when you encounter with one animal, stand still. Don't make a noise. Like that,
It's a good example.
This is good. And don't look the wild animal straight in the eye, because then it sees you as like a predator, right? That's what they always say. Don't make direct But what I'm saying is that's my knee-jerk response, is to be like, let's see and assess what's going on. Let the dust settle. It's also, I mean, I think maybe even from my finance background and my accounting background and whatnot, even if you have a financial advisor or if you know anything about that space and whatnot, one of the things they'll advise is when the markets are doing whatever they're doing, try not to react in the same way that everyone that it's going in, because then you're going to lose far more. If you just hold on for a little bit, they'll jump back up again, and when they jump back up again, you actually end up making a bit more, right?
Yeah.
So there's a long-term vision there that you have to have, but that's a very important part of it. And I think it comes back to what we were talking about in the beginning about vision and culture.
And listening.
And whatnot. If you don't have a long-term vision, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What gets you to sleep at night?
To sleep at night? What? Oof. I honestly have more things that keep me awake at night. So I honestly don't know how to answer that question. But what I will say is what does, what I do enjoy and gives me some peace and whatnot is one, my biggest release is writing poetry and whatnot, right? So writing, so whatever your release is to the listener, I was like, whatever your release is, like always make sure that you're doing it on a daily basis or whatnot. So for me, I believe that, for me, I always say like writing is a muscle. If I'm not writing and like doing my poetry, I lose that muscle. If you enjoy singing, sing. Even if you're singing in your own, like I was just singing right now in the car. I was singing right now. Like yesterday, I had a very heavy meeting with the business partner. It was a good meeting, but a heavy meeting. And before I left the place, I packed up everything and I just like sat by the balcony and I just ordered a drink. And I literally just stood by the balcony and I was like bumping beats and writing lyrics and singing. And I was like, I don't care who's watching me or who's recording this. I couldn't care less. You know what I mean? Like, I was just at the balcony and it was a space for one person. So I was like, I'm going to be on my own. This is my release. When I leave here, I've left all of this energy here. We're moving on. So that, like, those things help me sleep at night. And then obviously Netflix
and sleep
actual sleep, and some PlayStation every now and then. I'm not a big like a gamer. Also, I don't mean to like mention actual like brands, but I mean like, you know,
it's fine.
Like PlayStation or, you know, just like playing some games. I'm not a big gamer myself, to be honest with you, but sometimes I do have one and then I'm like, oh, look, I'm kicking the ball. Ooh, I'm punching the person. And then that like is like, okay, I did that.
It's also a kind of release.
It is. So I think a release is an important element. Whatever it is for you, make it a habit. That's my biggest thing, is that it doesn't need to be the same thing. If you like to hike or run, there's some people, I don't understand the whole thing of like running for like kilometers. I'm just like,
with no one chasing you.
Yes. So you just ran. So you ran for 6 hours. Okay. I'm like, thank you, friend. I'm really proud of you. I can't relate. I can't relate and I can't understand it. But I'm like, you ran for 6 hours and 36 minutes and 10 seconds. You're so particular about how many hours and minutes and seconds you ran that you're like, it's a personal best. I'm in love with you and your journey, but I can't relate. But if that's your thing, you're like, I'm doing park runs, I'm doing this thing, do it.
Before we get on to my quick fire questions, which I ask everybody the same questions.
Okay.
Tell us what satisfies your soul.
Apart from my poetry, what satisfies my soul is, one, I will say, seeing my dreams become a reality. And I think that for me is an important element of my life and my living. The other element of that is seeing everybody around me who had a dream, being around to see their dreams become a reality, right? Because it's not just about my dream, it's about our dreams as well, and how we can support and love each other in that way. That makes me happy. That makes me fulfilled. I would probably say most importantly is living my passion. Living a purpose-filled life, actually, and finding a way, or rather, like living that life and sort of like making it a life, like making it a living, actually, like making a living of living a purpose-filled life, which I think is something we were all called to do. I honestly do believe that, and I'm happy for people to call me out on that, but I honestly do believe that we spend so, like, if you live past what we call retirement age, and if you guys can't see me, I'm using inverted commas, but if you live a long life and you live past retirement age, you live like what, 70, 80 years or whatnot, right, on average?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? that's a long time.
It is a long time.
You're like 20 years short of a century if you live till 80. And if you can look back at if you look back at your life and you're like, ooh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and you have more shoulda, coulda, wouldas, then done, do. You know what I mean? Like we all have shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right?
Yeah.
But if you have more shoulda, coulda, wouldas, then done, and did, and do. I'm just like, and that is actually what drives me and inspires me, is to be able to not only look back at my life and be like, I've got more of the did, done, and the do's, and that the people around that I was inspired by them, because a lot of people I've been inspired by, literally not even famous people, like my mates, my colleagues who have inspired me to do things and pushed me to do things. If I can look back and be like, not only did I surround myself with people who made me better and who inspired me in that way, but I also was able to give that energy and recreate it, right? Take it and recreate it, and then other people have come through because of that experience and because of that energy. And that's what I honestly believe we are here to do. It's really recreation and procreation, and not in like the way people think about it, but it's like recreating and procreating that energy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that progress that other people can just walk into it and be like, wow, because of what Jana did and that podcast, it changed everything for me. And I sent it to a friend of mine, and I sent it to my family, and then now now we're creating things because of that because of that one podcast that we all listen to. We're now creating this thing that we're doing together.
I like that.
That's something that inspires me. So yeah.
Okay, so here goes this quick fire questions.
All right.
Star sign.
Libra.
Chocolate or chips?
Neither.
Tattoos? Yes.
All of them. Many of them. Give me tattoos.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Cook or eat out?
Cook.
Best-
and eat out.
Best part of your day?
Sleeping.
First thing you think about in the morning?
Work.
Creative, morning or night?
Night.
Who's your favorite writer?
Andrea Gibson.
What makes you nervous?
Failing.
What's your favorite getaway?
Nothing. Where there's nothing to do, nothing. Where there's no plan. Like where there's like, we have to do this thing and we have to hike and we have to do the water mountain thing. Like we have to waterfall and there's a thing and there's a thing. No. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm hungover and I want to sleep and that's my, like, if we wake up and we're like, we want to hike, let's hike. Like, my favorite getaway is like where there's no expectation. Which I don't understand why people always do that when they go away. That's why people always go away and then come back, feel like, I need a vacation. Like, oh, I need to go and leave after my getaway. I'm just like, because your getaway was actually work. That's what you did with your time.
What's in your bag that you can't live without?
My sanitizer. And my Vaseline.
If you could switch lives with anyone, who would it be?
That's a hard one. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Because he has it all. Like, no,
do you think so? I love listening and watching.
Not
him.
He has it all, but he has the most dynamic personality.
Okay.
Of successful entrepreneurs. Now I know that there's some people like, that guy's not like really an entrepreneur because he like took his dad's like business and whatnot and made it a bigger business. I know that, yes.
But I understand what you mean.
But like, he's like, I'm gonna go and do this thing. I'm gonna go and do this thing. I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm gonna go, like, he's like he's one of the most dynamic entrepreneurs in the game. Because if you look at all the entrepreneurs we all aspire to be in terms of monetary value,
yes.
they only do one thing: So you want to be Warren Buffett. He only does one thing, investing and blah, 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 right? You want to be Jeff Bezos. He has Amazon. You want to be Mark Zuckerberg. He has social media and Facebook. You want to be Bill Gates. He does Microsoft. And then he resigned from that thing and then became the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation person, right? You want to be, if you want to be in media, right? You want to be Beyonce. You want to be Jay-Z. They do that stuff and then they did some other, they used the money they had there to reinvest into other projects and whatnot. For me, Gary Vaynerchuk is all of that encompassed because he's in media, he's in digital, he's in sports management, he's like doing this, he's in like trying to like be a motivational speaker.
Like, what doesn't he do?
Yes, it was like he's trying to be Simon Sinek and like Eric Thomas and being like so. I'm not saying I want to be him in that perspective. I'm like, for me, if you are like to quick fire answer you, yes, like because he encompasses the dynamism that I feel I have. Or I'm like this and that, and a lot of people love him or hate him for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love me or hate me for that as well. So I feel like I'm like a mini Gary Vee. It's interesting it's interesting to me that you've never heard that, and you're like so taken aback. Like people can't see us right now because no cameras. But if you could see her face when I said it, she was like,
so unexpected.
What? That guy? Okay, what were you expecting? I'm sorry. I know that you were asking the quick fire questions. I know I'm like derailing the segment of the show.
I don't know.
What were you expecting? Or rather, let me ask you, what have you heard? What have you heard?
A lot of it is no one. Mm-hmm. They're happy with what they are now, with who they are. They don't see, and I don't know whether that's because they don't have an idea, or a lot of it has a lot to do with they have never thought about it. You know what I'm saying? My answer is Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda. Fist bump. I'm gonna give you a fist bump.
So now,
okay.
Last question.
All right,
before we wrap up, what song is currently making you dance?
No, I can't answer that question. It's like as a creative and somebody who aspires to be a musician, there's too many. What song makes me dance right now? No, I can't answer. See, that's where I can't answer you because then we'll be here for another whole podcast. But I will say that. I just love music. I really, really love music.
So you're dancing to everything and anything?
Yeah, I mean, I sing, and I'm currently working on my next album. So, and I want it to be a bit more musical than the last one.
Okay.
So, I'm listening to a lot of musical notes and choral hymns and covers and a cappella. Like I'm listening to a lot of beats. I was listening to Bryan Adams today. So, okay, everything I do it for you. That was what I was listening to just before I got into this. So I don't know if it's a song
you were singing to in the car.
Yeah. I don't know if I can say the song that's making me dance, but I was listening to the OG version, like the original version of it, with Bryan Adams and like the. I was like that, so. Yeah, I'm that nerd. I think I've just shared a lot more than I would have wanted to. I'm a bit of a dork.
Mo, thank you so much for chatting with me. I've loved every minute of the time that we've been sitting here chatting.
Thank you very much for having me here.
It's a pleasure.
I really enjoyed it. I think we've had too much fun. But there's no such thing.
No such thing.
And I hope that anything that I've shared can add value to anyone. Thank you.
Certainly added value to me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Janet Generally Speaking. You can hear a new episode each Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, please help us by rating, liking, sharing, and following, as it helps us to be found. Follow us on our social media platforms. You can find the links in the podcast description. Thanks for listening. Until we chat again.